Hey guys, hi, welcome back once again. My name is Vaishali, and having learned quite a few things from, through and within human interactions, and having pursued my masters in business administration and clinical psychology, I today wish to talk about opportunity costs. And opportunity is cost that I can correlate with the saying that you can take the horse to water, but you can't make it drink. So if you look at this metaphor that you can take the horse to water, but you can't make it drink, is an analogy wherein the horse is a representation of a person or an individual or a group of individuals, and the water is a symbolic representation of the opportunity that presents itself before an individual or individuals, and it's an opportunity wherein one can be led to it. One can be shown those opportunities. And yet when the saying further goes that you can't make it drink, essentially entails something about our subconscious and our unconscious, which is our internal driving mechanisms, our internal motives or motivations, our internal beliefs, our habits that have gotten so ingrained in us that we don't even recognize them and are unaware of them on a conscious level. And to a degree what this saying or this metaphor is telling us is that we can present opportunities before individual or individuals, and yet if they do feel threatened by the opportunity cost which every person needs to pay to make use of the opportunity that is presented before them or that is brought before them or that they are led to, many a times because of our subconscious biases that we are not aware of, many a times we resist taking those opportunities. Many a times we resist overcoming those challenges, and not just resist overcoming those challenges, but we don't even wish to take them up, because in our own heads, in our own hearts, in our own beliefs, the cost that we need to pay for the presenting opportunity is way too high. And to a degree, what is way too high of a cost for that particular opportunity or those opportunities is perceived as a literal threat by our nervous system, by our brain. And anything that threatens us is also the thing that scares us, is also the thing that holds us back. So what it's essentially telling us that though an external opportunity can be presented before us, if our unconscious beliefs and our biases are resistant to the cost that needs to be paid for that opportunity or those opportunities, we will resist them. Our subconscious will try its hardest to remain attuned with what it's known, with what it's familiar with the opportunity costs that it has always paid, rather than the unfamiliar opportunity cost, or rather the cost price for that opportunity. And so maybe at times, quite frequently, quite consistently, we need to look at the opportunities that had been presented from us from the external, from the outside. We need to look at the opportunities that came before us, that we were brought to, and yet we resisted them, because in our own subconscious and our unconscious, which is something that we are not aware of, the cost price for that opportunity was way too high. And then maybe reevaluate, rethink if it actually was way too high, or has it been a running narrative in our own heads and thereby in our nervous system and thereby in our lives, and do we need to make some edits to those running narratives? The metaphor that one can lead the horse to water, that the horse can be led to the water, but one can't make it drink, or that the horse cannot be forced to drink the water that it has been led to, also talks about we cannot force somebody to change their own will, their own willingness, if they have no desire to change that for themselves. And more so, we cannot change somebody's will or willingness if we or they themselves are not aware of their subconscious and unconscious motives and motivations, of the driving factors that pushes them or pulls them into taking certain decisions for their lives or for their life choices. The metaphor also talks about free will, that every individual, just like this horse through this metaphor, has its own free will, has the freedom, has the free will to choose, given the opportunity or the opportunities presented before it. And yet, there will always be a cost that will need to be paid for that opportunity or for those opportunities. There will be an opportunity cost in return for the opportunities themselves. And though we have the choices and the free will to choose, with that free will also come accountability and responsibility for the decision made with regards to choosing or not choosing that opportunity or those opportunities. And to a degree, it also then tells us that free will or freedom for choices also comes with accountability and responsibility that we cannot shy away from. And then to a degree, beautifully correlates with another saying that there are no free lunches in this universe. That for every opportunity, taken or not taken, there will be a cost price, a cost for that opportunity that will need to be paid in order to balance out the equation, in order to balance out the quotient of responsibility. And many a times, having that free will requires one to grow up. And unfortunately or fortunately, growing up only happens when we are wisely willing to weigh the pros and cons of the opportunity and thereby the cost for those opportunities or opportunity. And not just on the superficial level, but rather bringing up the subconscious and the unconscious, the beliefs, the ideologies, onto the conscious level, to choose discerningly, to choose wisely. And fortunately or unfortunately, whether we like it or not, metaphorically speaking, that's not a kid's play. So let's try and reflect on that metaphor a little more intently, a little more deeply, to understand, to reflect on the opportunities that we have taken up and the opportunities that we have not taken up. The opportunities that we took up as to what they gave us, what was the cost price that we were willing to pay, that we also paid, the risks that we were willing to take in order to grow up. And what were the cost price deep down on the fundamental level of the subconscious and the unconscious that we resisted, that we were a little too scared to pay. And like they say, whatever we resist persists. So maybe it's time to look back to think as to what is consistently persisting in our life that we might have some resentment towards, that we might regret, that doesn't fulfill us. For that might give us a chance to help us understand our own subconscious and unconscious beliefs, to then be able to reflect if we are still continuing with the same, or do we need to change the narrative of our subconscious and our unconscious. And before we do that, we first need to become aware of them. Let's try and delve into that a little bit, and I will see you once again the next week. Till then, stay tuned in. And guys, if you do like the contextual content of these videos, please do like, share and subscribe.